hear you now as well. So we'll carry on, and if all members are sent a copy of the leader's statement, and we'll carry on from
we're still working on it as well.
I had long started, you're okay. The revenues and benefits section delivered on the numerous relief schemes introduced by UK and Welsh Government in an accurate and timely manner. This has ensured that the most vulnerable members of our community have had the assistance that they need and are entitled to. This also extends to many business rate relief schemes, which have ensured the sustainability and continuity of many of Merthyr businesses. Council tax and business rates collection rates remain consistent and are gradually returning to pre-pandemic levels. Our ICT team leads on the Cymru Security Operations Centre project on behalf of other Welsh public sector organisations. The ICT schools team has continued to deliver the Welsh Government Hub programme to our schools, providing nearly 1,000 new devices to our classrooms this year. Safeguarding adults and children will always be a priority, and these costs cannot be avoided. We will endeavour to support children, families and adults within the community and their own homes, but unfortunately in some cases this is not possible. We have worked closely with Welsh Government colleagues and regional partners around the Eliminate Profit agenda to plan for future residential placements and to ensure that these placements are closer to home and at a more reasonable cost. We hope to see the benefit of this piece of work in the forthcoming years. As you are aware, along with our partners in the Health Board, we were successful in securing a large capital investment to transform our older people's day services for people with dementia, TNFIS. Having been successful in obtaining capital funding to transform the Learning Disability Day Service at Caer Hardie, we have also obtained capital funding through the Regional Partnership Board to renovate the empty wing at Tŷ Gyrnes to provide additional services for older people. The Council's communications, consultation and cabinet office continue to be at the forefront of keeping the residents and businesses informed and engaged. This year, the team has undertaken 30 public consultations, ranging from changes to service delivery to the view of our public on the Council's budget. We continue to engage with all our stakeholders to provide them with the opportunity to have their say and form part of the decision-making process in new innovative projects and service delivery. We have recently reinstated our citizens panel, the recruitment of which is ongoing. In May, we published our participation strategy, which sets out our approach to encouraging two-way communication and making the process of influencing decision-making more accessible. And in July, we published a communication and engagement strategy, which explains the way in which the Council communicates with residents, partners, businesses, and all other key audiences. This year, the team has produced 3 issues of Contact magazine, which is delivered to every household in the county borough and is available digitally on the Council's website. We continue to deliver key campaigns in line with the corporate plan. Our communications and HR team understand the importance of keeping our employees informed and engaged. They have therefore produced 6 editions of the bi-monthly staff newsletter, The Message. This has been well received by staff and goes from strength to strength, with a number of stories being submitted, increasing with each edition, and staff providing very positive feedback. The legal team has continued to provide advice and representation to all departments, dealing with business as usual, as well as specific demands related to major projects and issues affecting the Council. Some of the significant events and situations over the last year have required very high-level legal involvement to support the Council's response, and solicitors have allocated their time to those issues. The information governance team has continued to deal with enormous volumes of work connected with the security of data, with remote access and agile working processes, all of which produce fresh risks to the data security. The team has continued to manage this, as well as keeping on top of the more day-to-day activities of the Council. FY requests continue at a very high rate, which the teams are managing. A key element to the previous recovery, transformation and improvement plan was the redrafting of the Constitution, and this has been completed. Workshops have taken place with a group of councillors over the course of the last year to familiarise them with the document and these are coming to an end with a view to the new constitution being presented to Council for approval in April or May of this year. Essex inspections have been positive across Merthyr schools and education settings, with 3 out of the 4 primary schools reviewed being asked to prepare case studies of their work. Our Raising Aspiration, Raising Standards strategy continues to be our driver for education and will continue to support our ambitions for our children and young people and their families to be given every opportunity to thrive and achieve their very best. The Business and Education Together partnership has continued to be positive, with an excellent conference at the College Merthyr Tydfil, which brought together businesses, schools and local authorities officers to take the supported agenda forward. The Education Department continued to work with partners such as Cardiff Metropolitan University to take forward the community-focused schools agenda and the work of the overarching Education Partnership Panel. Welsh medium education is developing well, with a new Welsh seedling school thriving. A successful Welsh language conference in June, opened by the Education Minister, saw partners from across the county borough come together to consider the first year of Welsh in the Education Strategic Plan and the Welsh Language Strategy. Popular community events during the year to promote the Welsh language included Diwrnod Siamai and a First Noson Llawen. There are currently 3 school building projects being worked on. The Pen-y-Dre refurbishment project is currently in year 2 of the 4-year programme at a cost of around £45 million. Phase 1 of the development was completed and handed back to the school in January. The project is the first major net zero refurbishment project of its size in Wales and has already won the Construction's Excellence Net Zero Awards at regional and national level. Work on the new 3 to 16 Blessed Carl Security School started on site in January. The new £55 million school will merge all Catholic faith schools into a new facility constructed to net zero standards. The new Goetre Primary School is currently in the planning stages and will provide a replacement of the existing primary school. Work is due to start later this year, with completion anticipated by 2026. The Council is committed to improving air quality in the community and reducing dependence on fossil fuels by replacing our diesel vehicles with electric vehicles by 2035. Successful funding bids to Cardiff Capital Region and Welsh Government, totaling £1.1 million, enabled us to install a charging infrastructure in council properties. To date, we have replaced 16 vans and tippers, and in the next 2 years, we will replace around 50 more vehicles as they come to the end of their operational life and leases. We are confident that most of the fleet will be electric by 2030, and will reduce our CO2 emissions by around 1 tonne per year and reduce our operational cost by around £300,000 per annum. We would like to thank our residents who have again achieved the Welsh Government's waste recovery target for 22-23 for the 8th consecutive year, with 64.82% of our waste either recycled, composted or reused. From April 2022 to March 2023, a total of 6,451 tonnes of waste was collected at the household recycling centres, 84% of which was recycled. The remaining 16% of residual waste was sent to energy. Waste management are continuing to explore every opportunity to achieve the Welsh Government target of 70% for reuse, recycling, but we have a lot of work to do to achieve it. So residents are urged to continue to separate and present their recyclables for collection on the weekly curbside recycling schemes and ask for our support if needed. The highway and street lighting team have carried out over £1.9 million worth of routine maintenance and continue to deliver on its scheduled capital works programme of £3.4 million. They were also successful in securing additional £400,000 from Welsh Government to continue to upgrade our outdated highway drainage systems. The engineering department continued the storm damage recovery work, and a total of £8 million has been spent to date. We have utilised nearly £500,000 of Welsh Government funding to maintain and inspect disused coal tips to keep the public safe. Long-term cemetery provision is being planned, with land acquisitions for Plant Cemetery, and its new Garden of Remembrance has been warmly received. While enhancements at Kevin Cemetery are nearly completed, Aberfan Cemetery maintains its prestigious green flag status. The Council's initiative to refurbish children's playgrounds is progressing well. With 10 sites completed across the county borough in the last year, we're committed to the programme, which plans to prioritise additional sites for refurbishment starting in April. Our parks, including Cyfarthfa, Thomastown and Taff Bargoed, continue to uphold their Green Flag Awards, highlighting their excellence in facilities and management. In November 2023, our biodiversity team were awarded the Pro Landscaper Community Green Space Award for the transformation of the disused tennis courts at Troy-Drew Park. The year has seen the planning department oversee approval of nearly 300 new homes to be built in Abercanid, Swansea Road and around the town. These developments are in addition to the 120 currently being built by Persimmon in Toyner-Rodin. We have aspirations for further housing developments on the Heartland site in Dowlas and Hoover site in Pentrabach. As we know, there is an ever-growing demand for housing services, and particularly temporary accommodation. This has had significant impact on frontline staff, budgets and services. The services maximise all grant resources and opportunities to continue to work to reduce homelessness, broaden the range of accommodation in line with local need and deliver quality trauma-informed support. An example of this is the redevelopment of the former Glanaravan residential care home, Marsh House, into 32 units of supported accommodation, with plans to purchase a second large building for conversion to reduce the over-reliance on bed and breakfasts. In December, in partnership with the employability team, the new town centre facility hub opened with a view to engage the local community and to break down complex barriers regarding employment, housing and social services matters. Also, a new community learning provision has been established called Campus Community Hub in the Gurness, formerly known as the Neighbourhood Learning Centre. This has and will continue to be a centre of good community regeneration to attract people to lifelong learning. Both facilities have recently won national awards for their innovation. The YMCA is nearly at the end of its second phase of regeneration and is now stabilised and completely watertight. It is now ready to be assessed for its future use. The Foundation for Jewish Heritage has been successful in securing funding for the historic synagogue, and plans to turn it into a national centre for Jewish history continues. The General Hospital has received planning permission, which will see the old building transformed, offering much needed apartments in the Pont Morlas area. We continue the regeneration of the town centre with the completion of Hallfields into a boutique hotel and the Haystack Cafe. Work will begin shortly on Castle House in its change to commercial unit at ground level with flats above. Also soon to start is the renewal of 120, 121 and 143B on the High Street, which again will provide quality commercial residential units. Further significant developments proceed at various stages of advancement. Work has clearly begun at the old bus station site as it changes into a multi-function open space. Plans are being devised for St Tidwell Shopping Centre, the Lower High Street, railway station and an extension to the college footprint. The overarching master plan is being renewed with an eye on the future for town centres. There are also developments of industrial units in the wider county borough. Paisley Park is close to completion on the Panty Industrial Estate, while master plan is underway for the development of the former Great White Tip site on the Goat Mill Road. As we move into a new year, we are faced with a number of legacy challenges. After 300 years of coal mining in Merthyr Tydfil, the last coal has been cut. We're now working with Welsh Government, the Health and Safety Executive, Coal Authority and the mining company to return the land at Fossa Fran back to countryside in a safe and proper manner. Lastly, the council is in the final stages of terminating the contract that has been in place with Wellbeing Merthyr, the Merthyr Leisure Trust, since 2014. The termination will see all the council-owned facilities that the organisation currently manage come back under local authority management, including all libraries, Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Centre and Cyfarthfa Park. Importantly, we are negotiating with Wellbeing Merthyr to find alternative management models for both Aberfan Community Centre and the Red House. And while we work towards a resolution for our residents, we continue with investments into facilities. After a series of unforeseen issues in the final stages of the pool work, Work is now complete on site. Besides a small number of tweaks that need to be made and additional tests that need to be undertaken for safety, so safety open the pools. In addition, plans are progressing well with the development of the new skate park on the leisure centre footprint, which will see the park situated closer to the leisure centre. Opening dates for both facilities will be released soon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thomas. So we'll move on to committee reports then. Agenda item number 5, Aberfan Community Centre, to consider the report of the Chief Executive. That's back to Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I better take a breather first, is it? Okay, a little sip of water. Mr. Mayor, members, between 1988 and the 30th of March 2015, Aberfan and Merthyr Vale Community Centre was managed by Merthyr Tydfil Community Borough Council as trustees for the Aberfan Disaster Fund and Centre. The centre has never been a council asset and the council has never owned it. Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust Limited, now known as Wellbeing Merthyr, was created from the council's former Leisure Services Department. The belief was that by creating a charitable trust, the service would be better protected at a time of austerity and have more opportunity to access grant funding, in turn providing a better service for the people of Merthyr Tydfil. Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust Limited took over the leisure services in Merthyr Tydfil on the 1st of April 2015. Following Charity Commission approval in October 2015, Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust Limited became the trustee of the Aberfan Disaster Fund and Centre. The transfer of trusteeship of the building occurred in April 2016. Our aim and priority is to keep all leisure facilities open, including Aberfan and Merthyr Vale Community Centre, and we have reached out to Wellbeing Merthyr as the trustees of the centre to ensure that the seamless continuation of service. Any decision in relation to Aberfan Centre rests solely with the current trustees. So my plea to them is, please work with us to ensure a seamless transition of service for the people of Merthyr Tydfil. I would like to remind members that the report is solely focused on Aberfan and Merthyr Vale Community Centre, so any questions and comments must be in relation to the centre and not to the wider provision of leisure services. Mr. Mayor, if I can take all members to item 3.1 of the agenda, about the Aberfan Disaster Fund was established in 1967 following the disaster on the 21st of October 1966. My father was at the forefront of the rescue and recovery operation at Aberfan and was also at the forefront of the fundraising activities that took place afterwards. So it's in my DNA, right? We all want to protect this building. So I won't go any longer about the report, Mr. Mayor. I'll go straight to the recommendations in 2.1. The continuation of discussions with Wellbeing Merthyr to ensure that the leisure and library service are provided from Aberfan after the termination of the management agreement be approved. 2.2. The undertaking of a full due diligence exercise in relation to the acquisition of the trusteeship of the centre and surrounding land be approved. 2.3. The presentation of a further report to Council following the completion of that due diligence exercise and following receipt of Charity Commission advice be approved. I so move.
Thank you. Councillor Michelle Simmons.
In the report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to any questions on the report then, please. Councillor Brent Carter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's be under no illusions here. This report makes difficult reading for us all, both personally and professionally. Therefore, I have a few questions, and I know my colleagues in the Labour group will also have some questions as well. First question. For the record, can you confirm that all this report and the recommendations is asking for is acceptance to proceed with a due diligence exercise to then return with options for councillors to consider? The second question. I fully understand the emotional interest and strength of feeling associated with the community centre, but we need to understand the liabilities associated. Can you please clarify the legal and financial issues that need to be considered? My last question. Mr Mayor, and I haven't included this as a further recommendation, but can a full suite of potential options be brought back to full council for consideration, including the option of returning Aberfan Leisure Centre and all associated under the protection of the council's wings, so to speak, with an acceptable model? Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who is best to answer this. If I try and deal with some parts of it, certainly the confirmation that the report is to consider. I'm sorry, I'm echoing terribly. I don't know why that is. Yes, we can confirm that that's what this report is about. This report is to give a mandate for officers to progress the work to try and ensure that we make this seamless transition. So what the report does is set out a lot of the technical detail, but basically that's what it is asking for you to give a mandate for us to carry on those discussions. So that was the first part. The second part, the 2.3 recommendation is exactly that a report that will come back will consider all of the options that you're going to be asked to look at. So as part of the work that Geraint Morgan, as opposed to Geraint Thomas, is doing, that report will pull together all of the options. We're conscious that members have different ideas about how this should go forward. So what we will do is pull them all together. There's a technical point there, because if the proposition is that you become trustees, it's more about you each individually making a decision, because you would each individually become trustees. So we're going to need to explain that to you in some detail when that report comes back to you. So that's your first and your third question. I don't know, Geraint, are you able to help with the liabilities, certainly the legal liabilities that Councillor Carter raised?
Yeah, I mean, in relation to the legal liabilities raised by you, it's going to be very similar to what Carys has said. A full due diligence exercise needs to be undertaken so we understand what the current financial liabilities are, what the state of the building is, etc., and everything else that would go with a full due diligence exercise. That will all form part of the report that comes back to you, and the legal liabilities that you would face as trustees will all also form part of the report that comes back. And as I've mentioned, within this report, there would be a need for you to look at the Charity Commission's guidance, because any decisions made by you personally are decisions that you make. So you need to understand the guidance that is coming forward, but that will be explained to you in further reports that come before you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just for clarity and just to confirm, we will be having a full suite of options come back with different models rather than just the one model to work on, just to confirm.
There will be a suite of options that are available to you, but you will only be presented with options that are viable.
Okay, thanks, Geraint.
Thank you. Councillor Anna Williams-Price, please.
Thank you. In regards to paragraph 3.17, the report states that it is not open to trustees to use council funds to run the centre. Could you clarify why this would be the case and the expected intersection between any trusteeship the councillors would hold and the council itself?
Yeah, I mean, the Aberfan Community Centre will be an asset of the councillors as trustees. It is not a council asset, so it's not the same as this building or the Treharris Community Centre. It is an asset that sits outside the suite of properties then that the council owns. It is a discrete property, which is the Aberfan Trust, and that's why it says in there that the Aberfan Centre itself will need to generate the money to pay for the maintenance of that building and all the other liabilities that go with it.
Thank you. To follow up on that, so is it the case that previously the council was responsible for the administration and upkeep of Aberfan Leisure Centre between 1988 and 2015, and has this model been discounted at this point? what prevents a return to that model?
You, as I said, you will be presented with models that can move forward. The report will explain the options open to the councillors in order to move forward as to whether you sit as a commission then of 30 trustees, or whether it's possible to look at different models to move it forward. But in relation to the actual finance available to the trust, then it is only money that goes into that centre that is technically only available to be used for it.
Perhaps if I can help there as well, I hope this helps. When councillors previously administered the community centre, it was as trustees. So previously it was, even though all councillors were trustees, so often the councillors, and many of you here will remember this, even though you often dealt with things when you were in council meetings, you sat separately, you sat as trustees of that trust. And so it wasn't the case that previously it was run by the council, it was run by its trustees. It's just that at some point councillors were the trustees. The financial administration, I'm going to let Liam come in a minute because I'm sure he's going to be able to help with that, but that has always been the case. We can't use the council's money because it's not a council asset. So what we've got to do as part of this exercise is explore ways that we can try and ensure that there are trustees, whoever they may be, who are maximising the income generation in that facility so that it remains open and it can still be used.
Yeah, and just to come in further on that, what paragraph 3.17 isn't saying is that we can't run council services from that provision, which we could, and there's a range of mechanisms that we could do that through. Some of them may be income generating for the trust, which may support some of that repair and maintenance work. But in terms of the due diligence process and how we get those suite of options that we bring back, that's ultimately what we need to determine is the best course of action. But we could still continue to run council services from it, and those council services could be funded by the council, but it's the buildings themselves which would be owned by the trust.
Thank you. And Councillor Thomas, I acknowledge your comments about this report and Aberfan, but I am conscious that we do have staff here tonight of the trust, and through no fault of their own, they have been stuck in the middle of these discussions with the council and their employer, Wellbeing Merthyr, and they are worried about their future, and they are worried about loss of pay due to increases not being on by the trust. So I would like to give you the opportunity, if you'd be willing, to offer any reassurances that you feel you can at this point.
I'm afraid, Councillor Williams-Price, we're not going to be able to continue with that question because this is just about the Aberfan report. So as that's not, the staffing issues are not a question related to the Aberfan report.
Thank you. Anything further? Anna, anything further? No. Okay. Councillor Gareth Lewis.
Council funding in the form of a management fee is currently being used to manage Aberfan Leisure Centre. Can you confirm whether or not council funding can be used in the future?
Yeah, so thank you, Councillor Lewis. So as per my point to Councillor Williams-Price, it would still be possible for the council to provide funding to run services from Aberfan Leisure Centre. However, that will be outside of the contract that is due to expire. But there is still a possibility to do that, yes, but it would need to be granted by the trustees, who at the moment are Wellbeing Merthyr.
Thank you, Liam. One further question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Rhondda Cynon Taf Council appears on the website of the Charity Commission as trustees of several organisations, as corporate trustees, and I also believe Merthyr Council is a corporate trustee of the Lord Buckland Prize Fund Trust. Could we therefore become corporate trustees in the future? Could the council rather become corporate trustees for the of the Aberfan Leisure Centre.
That is something that obviously we can look into for you, Councillor Lewis, and it will form part of the report that comes back as to whether that is an option.
Okay, but it can't be ruled out at the moment. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Scott Thomas, please.
Diolch, thank you. I've only got one question, and obviously in respect of the Aberfan and Merthyr Vale Community Centre, I've been contacted several times this week, and there's been concern from the third-party businesses that are run from within the facility, and they just want assurances that their businesses are not going to be affected negatively going forward. Can we get those assurances tonight?
Not from us, no.
No,
That
No.
would need to
it's a
be
question I have to ask, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jamie Scrivian then, please.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in terms of the due diligence exercise, the report is not very clear. It says a matter of months, but this is a very sensitive subject, one that we'd all like to see carried out quickly and efficiently if possible. Do we have any idea how long this exercise is going to take? And have we got the full support of the trust at current to go forward with these?
in relation to a due diligence exercise, without wishing to sound trite, it requires cooperation by both parties. And it's basically how long is a piece of string. In order for the council to undertake the proper due diligence, it will require the information to be provided. And until that information is provided, then no report can be written to set out what has been found as part of that exercise in order for you as councillors to take an informed decision. So I can't give you a time estimate. It also requires the current trustees to make a formal request to the council that they wish the council to become the new trustees, or the councillors to become the new trustees. So at the moment, the ball is well and truly in the current trustees' hands.
And just to follow up on that, Mr. Mayor, in terms of where we currently sit with those conversations, has there been any fruitful movement from the trust in terms of coming forward with that information? Where do we currently stand with this, the ongoing dialogue?
Well, at the moment, what we're asking you for is if they come forward and ask for the councillors to take on trusteeship, that we are in a position to undertake the due diligence exercise in order to take it forward to ensure that the Aberfan Community Centre can still remain open and provide a service from there. I can't say any more than that.
Yes, so just to confirm, there's been no communication from them at all?
No formal communication has been received.
No formal communication, right. I do have one last question, Mr. Mayor, in terms of 3.14. And it's just a general question. Actually, it's not 3.14. I'm in the wrong section. It's 3.7. In terms of when the administration upkeep was handed over on the 1st of April 2015, I understand the situations of austerity that we were in at the time. I wasn't a councillor myself, so I can't comment. But I'm just wondering, in terms of when that movement happened, why Aberfan was not considered a unique circumstance which shouldn't have been involved with the moving of the other leisure services?
It was considered as unique because it's a trust. It was dealt with separately and remained as a trust.
And obviously you may not be able to answer the question, Caris, but historically, do we know what the rationale behind was agreeing to move that into Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust rather than keeping it under council administration?
I don't think I can give you a full answer to that. No, and rather than me try and speculate on that, perhaps what we can do is make sure that it's included in what we put before you at the next, whenever it is that we produce the next information. We're hoping to have workshops as well, so we can try and have that discussion. It probably wouldn't be appropriate for me to try and speculate as to why it was dealt with in the way that it was. It was kept as a different entity because it's still a trust, but the reason why it was all transferred to the same entity, I probably can't help you with at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. As long as we can have that information and it'll come back in a report, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Salmon, you've disappeared off my screen. Has your question been asked? He's asked a question. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank
So
you
we'll
very
move on
much,
to Councillor Louise Minnivox then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Liam, I think my question is going to be directed towards you. It's in relation to 3.13 in relation to the management agreement. Now, from my understanding, the total is 2.4 million. Do you know out of that how much is over the years has been allocated into Aberfan?
No, we don't have that information. There was a calculation that determined that fee back in 2015. However, the trust have got sort of delegated power to move money around as they see fit. So we haven't got management information with the amount of assurance that I could give you an answer on that.
So there was nothing ring fenced specifically. This is for Aberfan. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got one question and I've got a suggestion to amend one of the recommendations. My question is in relation to 3.16. And the last part of that reads, this due diligence exercise would, amongst other matters, require a condition survey to be undertaken in relation to the building, accounts to be presented demonstrating the economic viability. Could you tell me, in relation to the accounts, are those accounts from the Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust?
No, they would be accounts of the Aberfan Centre Trust.
Right. Okay,
yeah,
that answers that. And Mr. Mayor, in relation to 2.3, in view of the pertinent questions that have been asked and other matters which will come before us, I have a form of words to be altered 2.3, and it would read the presentation of a further report to April Council to update members on the due diligence exercise and the application to the Charity Commission for advice be approved. Can I move that?
Okay, is there a seconder for that?
I think it's more a question of whether Councillor Geraint Thomas is prepared to agree it, and if he's not, then is that going to be moved as an amendment, in which case we'll need to debate it as an amendment.
The issue I think we've got here is the timings, you know, and like we said at the very start, unless the trustees of the Aberfan Centre want to play ball and give us permission, you know, to carry out this work, we're not going anywhere, right? So, Clive, although I would love to say yes, let's go for April Council, I don't think we can, right? Because we just, I don't think the time frame is there.
I think, Leader, to just try and help with this, and we won't turn this into a debate because we may end up having a debate if that's moved as an amendment. I think what is being proposed is that there is a report back in April, whether it's the conclusion or whether it's a further updating report.
Well, an update's fine, yeah. I'm happy with update, yes.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we try and get the wording to say that a further report to April Council to update members as to the due diligence exercise and following receipt. Are you content?
You virtually said word for word what I put there.
There we are.
Because it's important to all the members and the public, staff, and those that use the Aberfan Centre, that as members we are informed all the way along the line. I understand that this may take some time, but another few weeks, you never know, we might have part of that puzzle answered. So it's an update, Mr. Mayor, that we're talking about.
Okay, so
sorry to interrupt. All I wanted to say was the council is unable to undertake any due diligence exercise until the current trustees ask us as councillors to take the trust back on.
So what we can do, subject to Councillor Geraint Thomas being happy to do it this way, is we can include that wording, but on the clear understanding that it's not actually within our gift as to what that report will say. It will be an update and it can tell members where we've got to and how things are progressing. But what we can't guarantee is that it's going to have full answers by that time. And I know that's what the leader was cautious about, was not tying us to something like that. But in terms of the words that you've proposed, we can, if the leader's happy, we'll just include those words and then that will resolve.
Okay, Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, happy to proceed on that. Yeah.
Okay, so if we're all agreed on that and that recommendation can be changed, we'll carry on with the questions, and it's Councillor Darren Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I bring members' attention to point 3.14, and that's on page 63, which says members have expressed a wish at previous council meetings that trusteeship of the centre should revert to the council. Can I ask what meeting this was discussed, or meetings? Members have regularly asked for leisure services to come back to the council, and I personally have stated that we must do all that we can to keep the Aberfan Community Centre delivering first-class leisure services. I can't, however, for the life of me, think of what meeting that the trusteeship of the centre was mentioned. Can I and all other members, please, I'm sure we want to have answers to that question.
Okay, so anyone can answer that?
No, it looks as though there's nobody here who can answer that this evening, Councillor Roberts. I'm not sure of the best way we can deal with that. Can we look into that and provide the information to you in a subsequent report?
Vice Monitoring Officer, I mean, it clearly states there that it's been expressed by the council. I and other colleagues that I've spoken to can't recall that ever taking place. So I think, you know, that's for clarity, we need confirmation on that. And yes, whether it's in an email or an information report or whatever process, we need clarity, please.
Of course, yes, we'll make sure we organise that and get that back to all members.
Okay, I got another question, if you can just bear with me. When or if Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council take guardianship of Aberfan Community Centre, can they guarantee that the current services and all members of the staff will be retained?
I think the straight answer to that is no, because we can't guarantee anything at this stage. What we can tell you is that based on what you've read in this report, what the council wants to do is be given a mandate to negotiate as best we can to achieve that outcome. But we're in the hands of the trustees. So we really need the trustees to engage with this, because that's what we all want. We all want to get to a point where all of that is guaranteed for the future. But I certainly can't answer your question by saying, yes, we can guarantee that today.
No, I fully appreciate that, Monitoring Officer. And when we come to comments, I will be referring to the state that we are in and how I think we should move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Kevin Gibbs, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was listening very hard to what Geraint had to explain when he was answering Councillor Scrivens' questions. So I think I've got the gist of it. If the trust do not approach Merthyr Council about Aberfan Leisure Centre, then there's nothing we can do, correct?
Basically correct. It's a matter for the current trustees as to how the Aberfan Centre moves forward. We can obviously approach them that we would like to run a service from there, which is a slightly different matter.
Yes, and that's leading on nicely to my next question, Geraint. So obviously we're at the 20th of March now. What is going to happen with the services if we don't get our ducks in a row?
I can't answer that for you, Councillor Gibbs. I think you need to ask that question of the current trustees.
I think it's also important to say they're not our ducks. So what we are doing, and I know that members are receiving information about this as we go along, but there are officers relentlessly trying to work out ways we can achieve what we want to achieve. It isn't under our control, but what we have to try and work with is the fact that it's in nobody's best interests for this not to succeed. So we are hoping that we can put enough persuasion to the trust that they will negotiate with us and that we can move this forward. We don't want to say anything to prejudice any discussions. That's why we're asking for this mandate today, that we can continue those discussions and report back to you once we've hopefully made some progress. But for this evening, we can't say anything more than that.
Right. Okay. I totally understand that, Carys. And sorry, when I was saying getting our ducks in a row, I was just referring to what our officers needed to do. I know what happens with the trust is completely outside our control. So if we flip, I would say 90% of the bottom, the majority of these questions on its head, what we are saying now, there is absolutely no 100% categorically guarantee the services will continue uninterrupted after the 31st of March.
Well, that's correct. I mean, I don't want to sound flippant, but there's no 100% guarantee that any services from anywhere will continue for any reason. But no, it's not within our gift. All we're asking for is a mandate that we do whatever we can to try and make that happen.
Thank you, Carys. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gibbs. Councillor David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a follow-on really from Councillor Minute Vaux's question on 313. Assuming all goes to plan, when the trust's management fee is the current trust's management fee is withdrawn, would Halo or other organisation as interim providers receive a management fee? And would that be the same as the Leisure Trust's fee?
We can't answer that this evening. That's not part of this. This is about Aberfan. This isn't about the general funding.
My next sentence is about Aberfan.
Okay, if you want to ask a question about Aberfan.
If lower, then could that not be used, the difference be used to support Aberfan Leisure Centre, depending on the type of trust that comes out of this and future reports?
We can't comment on the moment about the future provision level of who will be providing leisure services. No contract has been awarded at this point.
I'm not saying anybody in particular, it's just another organisation.
So as part of a due diligence process, we will be looking at the management fee that is currently paid and the cost of a future service, however that's provided, and that's for a full suite of leisure services, including Aberfan Community Centre.
Including.
So currently we provide Wellbeing Merthyr with a management fee that includes running services from Aberfan Community Centre. We need to carry out a due diligence process to understand how in the future we can continue to provide leisure services, including Aberfan Community Centre, yes. What that looks like in practice will come out of the due diligence process.
I understand. Nobody knows what it looks like. The question is, if there was a difference between the existing management fee and the future management fee, obviously it'll be split into two. Is there any opportunity for the difference to be used, depending on the model chosen, to be used to support Aberfan or used at Aberfan? Let's put it that way.
So absolutely, the council is committed to continuing services at Aberfan Community Centre. So I don't think we're talking about it coming down to cost you, although that will come out of the financial due diligence process. However, whether we continue to carry out services at Aberfan Community Centre is out of our control. It would need the trustees to agree that, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So are there any further questions before we move on to comments? No, so we'll move on to comments, and it's Councillor Darren Roberts first, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have to bear with me. This is quite lengthy. On the 12th of March, myself, children, parents, grandparents and great-grandparents attended a peaceful protest on a very damp evening at the Aberfan Community Centre. It was humbling to see so much support, but not unexpected. The Aberfan Community Centre is not just a building, it's an integral part of a very close-knit community. I don't need to mention the historic importance of this building, but obviously I've just mentioned it. There is a newly renovated cafe that is well used. There are businesses that operate from the Aberfan Community Centre, as my colleague Councillor Scott Thomas mentioned earlier. And since the pool at Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Centre was out of order, the pool at the Aberfan Community Centre basically took up the slack, stepped in and all the staff to obviously deliver the services that they did. And obviously they stepped up during COVID as well, for which I thank them greatly. They still go above and beyond what is expected of them to deliver the very best service that they can. I regularly meet with residents at the Aberfan Community Centre, and I know only too well from conversations that I have what impact a closure of this centre would make. It would be devastating. I, for one, won't stand back and let that happen. So I will do all that I can as one of the elected members for Aberfan Community Centre to do all that I can to keep the doors open and the staff in employment. The current trustees of Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust, who unfortunately hold all the cards to the future of the Aberfan Community Centre, need to urgently resolve any outstanding issues that they have and engage with officers of the council so that meaningful discussions can take place. Because after all, their decisions mean the future of Aberfan Community Centre is secure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Jamie Scriven.
That's great. Firstly, thank you to Councillor Roberts for querying the report regarding the trusteeship, as I myself cannot recall those comments being made by myself or others, so it'd be good to have some clarity on that. Mr Mayor, the situation at Aberfan deeply concerns me. I've been a member of this council now within my second term, and I'm painfully aware of various questions we've raised from other members and myself on the previous arrangements of the leisure services concerning Aberfan, the contractual agreements and legalities surrounding the centre and any services provided. Whether that asset sits within our gift, we carry with us the weight of history and the echoes of a tragedy that shook the very foundation of this community. The Aberfan disaster stands as a sombre reminder of resilience and strength that defines the people of Merthyr Tydfil. And amidst the darkness of that day, a beacon of hope emerged in our community centre, and it's been a symbol of unity and solidarity erected to serve as a sanctuary of healing for those that were left in the wake of what happened and for growth, which is why I've requested further information on the transfer of the trusteeship to Merthyr Leisure Trust, as there has to be accountability on all parties for where we find ourselves today. As we reflect on the significance of the centre, we also have to recognise the unwavering spirit of the people of Merthyr. The coming together of the greatest of challenges and the recent coming together to protest for the protection of the centre. That centre became more than just a building. It's a lifeline for those in the community. It's a place where bonds have been forged, families have come together in grief, and the futures for many have been shaped. So as we stand on the precipice of that future, it's incumbent upon us as members to ensure that that beacon in the community continues to shine brightly. The community centre must remain accessible to all, regardless of the background or circumstances people might find themselves in. It must be a place where individuals are nurtured and where those opportunities are found and that legacy can live on. So I do call upon the whole of the local authority to act with all its executive power to leave no stone unturned to safeguard the centre and its future. We must ensure that our centre continues to meet the evolving needs of the community and support it in whatever format or model going forward we can. But most importantly, I call on those within the trust of Merthyr Leisure Trust to cooperate, support the authority to achieve this, support us to keep the doors open, and the programmes thriving, the services accessible and affordable for all the residents of Merthyr Tydfil. Failing to cooperate is a complete disservice to the public and the memory of Aberfan and the purpose of why that building was developed. By cooperating with us, we're working together, we'll honour the memory of those we lost. we reaffirm our commitment to building a brighter future for the generations to come, and that is of the utmost importance, and it has to be the way forward for the centre. I'd also like to remind local councillors Darren Roberts and Scott Thomas, and also the executive members of the council, that on this matter they've got my full support in any way or format to ensure that Aberfan continues for the public. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Scriven. Councillor Scott Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to firstly say I agree with all the comments from my ward colleague, Councillor Roberts, there, and wholeheartedly thank Councillor Scriven for his comments also. We are looking to support the future of the centre as a community and leisure outlet, and to support fair terms and conditions for workers who are currently employed at the centre. As many are aware of the history of Aberfan, there's a passion and sensitivity and community spirit that binds the local residents and has affected people all over the world. For me, it's vitally important that the services at the leisure centre are secured not just for the short term, but for the long term, and I will support them with my whole heart.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Brent Carter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll be pleased to know I'll keep my comments brief tonight, as I understand and appreciate a lot of members will want to speak. And I think it's vitally important that the ward members, Councillor Roberts and Councillor Thomas, are heard first and foremost. Where do I start? Since a young child in school and at home, I've been brought up with the stories of the disaster of Aberfan and how the world came together, with people coming from everywhere to help with the rescue effort, to the fundraising and donations. For me, I'm sure, like others, it's far more personal. We're also a significant part in this story. My mother unfortunately lost two of her first cousins in this disaster, something families will never ever forget or forget. The Labour group here in Merthyr Tydfil will always stand shoulder to shoulder with the community of Aberfan, staff and unions, and I can assure you we will fight with everything we have within us to ensure that the people of Aberfan retain their community centre and indeed for it to flourish in the future. I will finish on this, Mr. Mayor. I believe a key part to coming through all this controversy and disarray is with the utmost urgency to facilitate a meeting with the trustees, Chief Executive, Deputy Chief Executive of the local authority, the council leader, Councillor Barry, myself and Councillor David Jones and union officials, with the aim to have an open and honest and transparent conversation to rebuild working relationships. The objective of this being to come to an agreed consensus on a suitable way forward with a solution acceptable for all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. Councillor Clive Jones, please.
Mr. Mayor, I've listened carefully to all the comments and the questions tonight. My plea is quite simply this: to the trustees of the Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Trust, for goodness sake, sit down with everybody and deal with this issue. Frankly, the utter nonsense of going back and forth with solicitors on their side, solicitors on our side, is just continuing this, and it should not happen. So it's quite, my question is, and my plea, get around the table and sort this out once and for all.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Would anybody else like to comment before Councillor Geraint Thomas closes the debate? No. So Councillor Geraint Thomas, then, please.
I think all members have articulated the situation very well, so I'm not going to dwell on the issue, Mr. Mayor. Just I want to raise 2 points, really. I think what is shown here tonight is the complexity in the charitable law situation that we are facing. And, it's a challenge. It is a real challenge for us, but one I'm sure we will resolve. But the other point I want to make is I think all 30 of us in this chamber as councillors, all 30 of us, are fully behind the ward members, fully behind the people of Aberfan to get that building back in our control. That's what we want. That's what everybody wants. Let's make it happen. So please, I'm totally side by side with Councillor Jones this one. Please, trustees, speak to us and give us back the keys.
Okay, thank you. So we can move on to a vote now then, please.
And I'm hopeful now that I'm going to be able to do this with the members who are remote. So going as I can see you, Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
Yes, gladly can hear you now, and I'm for.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Gareth Richards, are you for, against or abstaining?
My apologies, for.
Thank you. And Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And that's, just checking that's everybody in the chamber as well. Yes, that's carried, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So before we can move on, can someone fetch Councillor Lee Davis?
And I don't know, Mr Mayor, if all the members of the public want to stay or if you want to.
Yeah, so
thank you.
We'll just wait 1 minute while people leave as well, so before we continue.
This lady is staying, or if she wants to.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next item then, which is agenda item number 6, pay policy statement 2024 to 25, to consider the report of the Chief Executive, and it's Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm a bit upset nobody wanted to stay for the pay policy paper. It's one of the better ones of the night, to be honest. So anyway, the pay policy statement to 2023-24. Members will recognise the legal requirement to approve our annual pay policy statement for 24-25, and it can be seen in Appendix 1. Negotiations for the pay awards to apply from the 1st of April 2024 are yet to conclude. The Council will apply these pay awards as and when they're agreed. And as yet out in the respective pay agreements. The statement will need to be considered, approved and published on the Council's website. One simple recommendation of 2.1, Mr Mayor, the pay policy statement 24-25, implementation date 1st of April 2024, be approved. I move the pay policy, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor David Hughes. Okay, thank you. So are there any questions then, please? No, there are no questions. Are there any comments then, please? No comments. So we'll go to a vote.
Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, are you for, against or abstaining? Thank you. Councillor I think I heard it twice. Councillor Gareth Richards, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that is everybody, and that is carried, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So next item is agenda item number 7, Strategic Equality Plan 2024 to 2028, to consider the report of the Chief Executive. And Councillor Andrew Barry again, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the Strategic Equality Report. Our equality objectives covering 2020 to 2024 were approved in Council March 20. We're here this evening to set our next strategic equality objectives for the next 4-year period from 24 to 28, detailed in the plan at Appendix 1, as described within our public sector equality.
Today.
Can I just check that everybody who's online, can you just make sure you're on mute? Because I think we're hearing some noise in the chamber. I think it may be you, Councillor Claire Jones. Can you just make sure you're on mute for me?
I am, but I'm having problems with my laptop. And I don't know whether I've tried. I'm only on my phone at the moment, but when you said I'd spoken, I hadn't spoken. So I don't know what's going on at the minute.
Okay, can you see and hear us now?
I can, but it's the echoing. I was on mute then. I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay, if you just stay on mute and hopefully that will work. Can Councillor Gareth Richards, you were on mute and I think you're now not. So if you could go back on mute as well, and then we'll carry on. Thank you.
Okay. So the Wellbeing and Future Generations Act 2015 and all other relevant legislation in supporting the 4-year plan, along with the general characteristics, are highlighted within the plan at Appendix 1 and summarised in Section 3. And requires the authority to address our objectives and progress against those objectives within the annual report. The retrospective annual report was brought this afternoon to Cabinet for approval and publication, and is here this evening as an information report with your papers. The annual Equality Report 22-23 was brought from our current strategic equality plan from 2020. Our next proposed plan will begin on the 1st of April 2024, if approved, for a 4-year period of 28. The proposed Strategic Equality Plan 24-28 has been to the Corporate Support and Resources Scrutiny Committee in February, and through meetings and workshops held with corporate management team. There's been a practical support resource pack for scrutiny committee members produced in 2021. In addition, there's been a detailed consultation in setting the objectives shown in Appendix 2, along with the analysis that stemmed from that consultation at Appendix 3. The delivery, monitoring of progress, employment monitoring information, and the production of our annual equality report will be done through our Council's corporate wellbeing plan. Wellbeing board, sorry. Sean is with us tonight. Sean Lyons is with us this evening and was centrally involved in the delivery of the consultation, should you have any questions. At the introduction of the Strategic Equality Plan 24-28, at Appendix 1, our equalities vision states we strive to be a place where diversity is valued and respected, and everyone can participate, flourish, and have the opportunity to fulfil their potential, freed from discrimination and prejudice. The annual report describes community cohesion with a diary of emerging and existing events to commemorate, celebrate, or just give some thought to some of the issues such as Refugee Week, Ukraine Independence Day, Windrush Day, Hate Crime Awareness Week, Anti-Slavery Day, International Women's Day, and it goes on and on. Very comprehensive strategy. All of these areas are touched by the work of equalities, and the list is not exhaustive. This is a very comprehensive and ambitious strategy and testimony to the work done by all staff and participants. The report highlights our development as a council and our continuing development towards our vision of equality. Mr. Mayor, we've got Councillor Gareth Richards online tonight, and he's our equalities champion. And before I think go into recommendations, if I could have a contribution from Gareth before I go to the one recommendation at 2.1, if that's okay with your permission.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Councillor Richards.
Thank you, Andrew. Councillor Barry. As you have said, the SEP is a critical document to the council. It provides us with direction following on from our previous strategic plan, and ensures our continuous improvement and self-reflection. It is good to see that there was such a large number of participants in the consultation that was held, and I wish to thank all those who took part. I also wish to thank the officers who have been working with me and other council members on the preparation of the plan. And I know that the team will work with various departments of the council to further develop the detail below the various objectives. Going forward, I look forward to having regular updates, whether through the scrutiny reports or in our annual reports. I think today I want to add a further comment as the equalities champion, that whatever our political views within the chamber today, it is great to see that our Wales, our Cymru, has elected the first black, in effect, Prime Minister within Europe. And that's a testament, I think, to the country that we all live in. Thank you, Andrew, for the opportunity to speak. I'll hand back to you.
Thank you, Gareth. Lovely comments there, and couldn't be more pertinent with the new First Minister today. I'll take you to the recommendations, Mr. Mayor. Recommendations 2.1. The Strategic Equality Plan for 2024 to 28 be approved. I move the strategy, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Julie Jenkins.
Second the report, please, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions, please? Councillor Brent Carter.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. In terms of 1.5, and it could be my memory, Hannah or Andrew, I'm not quite sure. It said it came to the Corporate Support Resources Scrutiny in February 2024. I believe it came on the 30th of January, but I could be wrong. Just for clarity in the report accuracy.
I think the scrutiny meeting was the 30th of January. Then we held an additional workshop.
16th of Feb.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep. Councillor Louise Minute-Vokes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question's in relation to integration of the plan, because I know it's got a cross-cutting theme into the aging-friendly plan, and I just wanted to ask, obviously, because the local authority get the £50,000 grant, what's the progress on the aging-friendly plan at the moment, please?
I'll have to come back to you on that if that's okay. If you'd like an update, I can send that through email.
Yeah, because as Older Persons Champion, I sit on the Ministerial Advisory Forum for Ageing, and I know that is the expectation that all plans are submitted and all local authorities are signed up to the WHO friendly network by 2025. So obviously that is a concern if there's not much progress in relation to that.
Yeah, I'll speak with the officer and get you an update if that's okay.
Okay. My next question is in relation, so currently then, so in relation to the cross-cutting themes of aging friendly, so where does that sit in? Is that still sitting in corporate?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my next question is in relation to the survey distribution. It's on page 155. It's just, so rather than a reliance on another organisation kind of distributing those surveys on our behalf, do you think it would be more beneficial, obviously looking at the list of those organisations that VAMP have those links with, do you think it would be worth the local authority going out to those organisations at grassroots level to get that consultation and feedback?
John, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, we did work collaboratively with VAMPT. We were unable to have the specific details of the people who they collaborate with. They actually provided us this, the information that's down there, saying that they deal with 343 organisations, and they broke it down then into the kind of protected characteristics elements of those organisations. So we couldn't, they're not able under GDPR to give us the specific details for us to contact them. However, they weren't the only element that we had by delivering the consultation forms. I personally went to both the leisure centres, Cyfarthfa Museum, Cyfarthfa Park Museum, Kai Hardy Health Park, the main reception of Prince Charles Hospital, the maternity part of Prince Charles Hospital. I went to Merthyr College, Merthyr Valley Homes, Merthyr Housing Association, the Red House, the Zoa, Orbit, and the list goes on. There is a number of places that I personally went, gave them application forms, gave them a QR code, and also the bilingual form, the Welsh form as well, asking if anybody asks for any other language form, contact me and I can pop that over to them, no problem. So, there was an awful lot more places that we did actually take the application form and the posters with the QR code. I know that's not suitable for everybody, but there are an awful lot of smartphone users that can just link straight into it. So again, we've learnt lessons from this. Could we do more? Absolutely, resources allowing. You know, we've learned lessons. We've built many collaborations, partnerships. We've we've got new connections that we can go and use next time and share with the rest of the organisation, with the council, you know, if they want to ask us who we've dealt with. So, you know, we have built a lot of connections with the community that, you know, we can use willingly, hopefully next time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm almost done, Mr. Mayor. That's
Yeah,
okay. Sorry. So looking at the objectives for accessible services for 2020 and 24 on page 146, and obviously for the new objectives 24 to 28, page 129. So it's the same kind of narrative in relation to understanding the barriers, because obviously more services are being accessed digitally. Now, if you go to the survey then, page 156, so I'll read it out. So most respondents agreed services should be accessible to all. However, some made concerns over most services moving online and feel it's more difficult to have the query dealt with by a person. Some respondents said the council can be too reliant on social media as a communicative tool, which isn't accessible by all. We should be looking to try different ways to reach all audiences. And then the next page, there's a survey result of more support for the elderly was raised as an issue to be addressed, and it was felt that they were the most disadvantaged group in Merthyr. So considering that, I noticed yesterday that a smart survey has been posted on the council Facebook, also on the website, in relation to ageing friendly. So we're trying to engage the elderly residents who we know from the survey feel excluded, but yet the ageing friendly surveys out on Facebook with no signposting to paper copies, and on the website there's no signposting either. So I was just wondering where else that's going to be distributed and how we can kind of rectify that, please.
Appreciating that I'm not the ageing friendly officer, so I can't give you the full and inclusive kind of answer to this question. I am aware that the survey has gone out. I think it is as standard. We would put the survey out on our electronic devices as standard. I can't tell you at this precise time where else that the officer, you know, involved has planned, where they intend to do extra face-to-face forums or any other things at the moment, because I simply don't work in that department, and I do apologise for that. But again, we can have that information and give it back to you and to all the members, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No. So any comments then, please? Councillor Brent Carlton.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it'd probably be remiss of me not to comment on this report tonight. I'm really well acquainted with this report, as this has been on the forward work programme for corporate support and resource scrutiny. To give some background, we first had a report on the 30th of January 24, and this was followed up with a workshop on the 16th of February to identify and further support improvements to this document. I would like to think we all became critical friends, offering constructive feedback and advice throughout. I, like other members of the committee, am pleased that things have been taken on board and the report amended and updated to reflect the contributions. We know ongoing changes can still be made, as it's a fluid document which can be updated throughout the lifespan. As Chair of Scrutiny currently, can I ask that the future scrutiny makeup keep this item on the forward work programme to monitor its progress on a cycle to suit all involved? Lastly, this hasn't been an easy task and the work involved was vast. Therefore, I'd like to go on record to thank Lorna, Hannah, Sian, scrutiny members and everyone involved in this plan for all their hard work and commitment. Is very much appreciated and respected. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Williams-Price, please.
Thank you. I personally would like to give my thanks and recognise the role that Councillor Gareth Richards has played as an equalities champion in promoting issues and events across the year. This is something that he carries out in addition to his ward duties, but undoubtedly with the same passion and dedication. He's attended various Pride events, flag raisings. He's also attended Welsh Government sessions on improving diversity in local government. And I look forward to seeing the work he does in this role, continuing working well with other relevant champions within the council to further progress awareness of equalities.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Minor-Vokes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to see the report come through following scrutiny feedback, and some of the concerns that were raised are taken on board. I still have some concerns about accessible services and what is going to be done to navigate those barriers and bridge the gap of digital exclusion. And it's crucial that we recognise and prioritise the value of engaging with older individuals and communities who are digitally excluded in Merthyr. Older adults bring a wealth of wisdom, experience and invaluable insight that enrich our community. The National Survey for Wales 22-23 data shows that 7% of adults in Wales are digitally excluded. This figure stands higher amongst those aged 75 and over, so that's an estimated 95,000 are digitally excluded. So it's imperative that we address this issue with urgency. Those who lack those digital resources are at a significant disadvantage. So it's accessing essential services such as parking, applying for a dropped curb, accessing help for the cost of living crisis, knowing what's on and what activities people can get involved with. So digital exclusion exacerbates those existing inequalities and limits those opportunities with the older communities. It is disappointing that this week the Ageing Friendly survey appears to be only online and no signposting to where it can be done face-to-face or where paper copies can be addressed. I am also concerned at limited progress in relation to the Ageing Well plan, and there are some good examples out there in other authorities. They've utilised the grant well in engaging with older residents. In Flintshire, for example, engagement with older people identified access to information as a priority, and they've gone about and formed their own community groups and older people's information groups. Vale of Glamorgan, the age-friendly officer, has used the grant to relaunch the 50+ forum and has allowed members to have their say in a range of issues that matter to them. So enlisting older people as volunteers or group leaders is a common approach adopted by some local authorities in receipt of the age-friendly grant. This demonstrates how the small amount of funding that is allocated to create age-friendly communities is leading to the development of community-based activities that offer preventative support, tackles loneliness and prevents older people being isolated in the community. So the sharing of good practice allows local authorities to roll out activities and services that have already proven successful. This removes the need for local authorities to test new approaches that may not work. I would urge officers taking the lead with the age-friendly plan to benchmark against other authorities in how they have utilised the Ageing Well grant in engaging older residents. I welcome the updated Strategic Equalities Plan and the forward from our Equalities Champion and my colleague Councillor Gareth Richards. As stated earlier, it is pleasing to see the scrutiny feedback has been used to shape it better. However, moving forward and to progress it with the understanding of needs and the breaking down of barriers to engagement with members of the community, I would recommend with more involvement with members who hold champion roles, such as older persons, carers, disabilities, etc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? No, so we'll go to a vote then, please.
Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Councillor Claire Jones, I'm not going to ask you to vote because I could see that you weren't able to listen to the whole of the debate, but can you just check, are you now able to see and hear us properly? Okay,
I listened to it all. It was just I had massive technical problems and I've had to shut everything down and put it back up, and I had to put my phone down to do it. So, but thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gareth Richards, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to agenda item number 8, non-domestic rates, retail, leisure and hospitality rates relief Wales 2024-2025. I'll just wait for anybody who's leaving to leave. You can. No, that's all right. We'll give you a second to leave. And while you are just leaving, perhaps yeah, Councillor Scriven, could you pass a bottle of water down? Okay, so we'll move on with agenda item number 8, and Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the non-domestic rates, retail, leisure and hospitality rates relief, Wales 2024-25. This will provide eligible retail, leisure, hospitality properties a 40% reduction to the non-domestic rates, or business rates as some would call them, liability for 24-25. The support will be subject to a cap of £110,000 across all properties occupied by the same business. We do have a background paper from Welsh Government entitled Retail, Leisure and Hospitality Rates Relief Scheme 24-25 to support the report, with detailed explanation of how the scheme will operate, an application and declaration should any member receive any queries from local business. Alternatively, should you have a query, you'll be able to refer to the revenues and benefits through their dedicated email. The potential beneficiaries will be identified through our business rates records, which, as you can imagine, Mr. Mayor, are now extensive following the various grant schemes we've had had to administer over the past few years. As I mentioned, there is an application that will need to be completed, in this case with a declaration as to how much the applicant anticipates claiming across Wales, and in case the applicant has multiple sites. The temporary relief applies from the 1st of April, Mr. Mayor, to the 31st of March 2025. A brief of the scheme details are outlined through section 4 and cover how the relief will be provided, how the scheme will be administered, which properties will benefit, and other considerations such as those not considered to be eligible, the amount of relief available, changes to existing hereditament, including change of occupier, and the cash cap and subsidy control. We have Mark with us as usual tonight, Mark Price, to give members answer any members' questions on any detail of the report. Recommendations are 2.1, 2.2. Mr. Mayor, 2.1, the implementation of the retail, leisure, hospitality rates relief scheme in accordance with the rules described in this report be approved. And 2.2, sections 47 and S47 of the Local Government Finance Act 1988 shall apply as regards to the herediments described above, in accordance with the rules described in relation to those herediments. Mr. Mayor, I move the NDR relief this coming financial year.
Thank you. Councillor Michelle Simmons.
I second the report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on the report then, please? Councillor David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mark, how are we ensuring that as many businesses as possible claim this benefit? And are there any timescales for claims?
This has been going on for the 4th year since 2020. So this is a continuation, and it's pleasing that Welsh Government are offering funding again, to allow, even though that the variance is slightly different. So each year we communicate with those who've had it the year before, since 2020 through to where we are currently, and invite them to reapply. We've been going through a current exercise because there's a number of businesses we believe they were entitled to it, haven't done so. So we've had a bit of an uptake over the last couple of months. We've paid 231 businesses to the tune of £1.2 million within this current financial year. As Councillor Barry mentioned there, that the scheme is going to be 40%. We've already invited and engaged with a number of businesses. The application is available online, as already been mentioned, and we've already received about 50 applications from businesses, to apply the relief against their 24-25 liability, if this report is so approved. It's cost neutral to the local authority because obviously all the funding comes from Welsh Government. But it's pleasing on our part if we were to adopt it, as we're required to do so under section 47, in being able to offer the continual relief to those businesses that may be entitled.
What is the idea of the current potential take up as a percentage?
It's been around about 70% if we're looking in the 23-24.
Whether that is to do with apathy, whether that's to do with the rateable assessment changes, because there was a new rates list that came into effect on the 1st of April 23, where we've seen winners and losers, some going up, some going down. There's been significant, for those that have lost out, there've been significant relief awarded in the guise of transitional relief, which has been 67% reduction. So it has also reduced, the liability down for businesses. This relief is based upon on top of other reliefs like small business rates relief, charitable relief. So it is for the net liability that a business may face on top of the statutory reductions that they may be entitled to. So there's lots of factors, but we trying to, as I mentioned earlier, engage with businesses, to apply for both. In answer to your question, it is time limited. For the current financial period, a business, if it hasn't applied, has got until the 31st of March. If they apply after that, they can't have funding for 23-24, only for 24-25.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. So move on to comments then, please. Councillor, back to Councillor David Jones for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Welsh Government have extended the retail, leisure and hospitality rates relief scheme in 2024-25 by offering a reduction of 40% and the NDR of all eligible business as listed at 4.3 in the report. In the current financial climate, this is a welcome announcement by Welsh Government that will hopefully help businesses through these difficult times. I would also like to thank Mark and his team for the work they've done in administering this support to local businesses. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments before Councillor Barry comes back in? No. So Councillor Andrew Barry to close the debate then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to endorse what Councillor Jones said there. It is welcome. Maybe 75% last year, Mark. Yeah, it's down to 40% now. But any help is welcome in what are still very difficult trading circumstances. I found a report from the Centre for Retail Research. 120,000 jobs lost last year. 10,494 shops closed. Just gives an indication of the magnitude of the problem that businesses are facing out there, particularly in retail, obviously. And I think, this council needs to make representation to review the business rates, because in terms of what we've seen in the last 4 years, retail has been absolutely decimated, and we're all guilty of doing our internet shopping and going into shops and thinking, I bet I can get that cheaper on the internet. We are where we are with it. It's a vastly fast changing issue for us, and not least because we have ownership now of St Tidwell's. We need to pay close attention to this, because this is fast becoming a barrier to businesses to set up. We need to take a very close look at it and make some representation in those areas where I think we can get some traction. But it's a very concerning area. But this report shows people are desperate for support, and this will help immensely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So we'll take that to a vote then, please.
Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, are you for, against or abstaining?
For, please.
Thank you. Councillor Gareth Richards, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is item number 9, elimination of profit, to consider the report of the Chief Officer of Social Services and Councillor Julie Jenkins, please.
Elimination of profit report. The report author Joanne Llewellyn is with us for further questions. The summary of the report. This report provides Council with an update on the elimination of profit agenda and the impact this will have on Merthyr Tydfil. The report outlines the background of the elimination of profit agenda, where Merthyr Tydfil's children's services are now, how we plan to progress, and the risks associated with the agenda. Welsh Government is of the view that it is not right that some private companies who run accommodation, care and support services for looked after children can make significant profits from the children they care for, rather focusing on value and not finance. The aim is to ensure that public money invested in accommodation for care experienced children is not extracted as profit, but instead is reinvested back into the system to support better outcomes, services and professional development. Regular meetings are being held with Welsh Government, highlighting the challenges faced by local authorities and Merthyr Tydfil to meet the Eliminate agenda within the timescales. At present, we have 186 children in Merthyr. 118 are out of authority placements. Merthyr Tydfil Children's Services have been awarded grant money to build provisions, invest in the recruitment of foster carers, and ensure our family intervention services are robust enough to ensure families can remain together and children do not need to come into the care system. Some providers are transferring to the not-for-profit. Numbers may be are not clearly known at this stage. Many are waiting for the clarifications of the exemptions. The issues and risks are highlighted in the main body of the report. I'd now like to go to the recommendations. The progress to date be noted and the proposed next steps be approved. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor David Hughes.
I'd like to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So any questions, please? Councillor Minor-Vokes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's in relation to timescales, because I know obviously we've got all providers would have to move to this position by April 2027. Is that exact date, or is there a possibility that this is going to move, please?
Yeah, so we're expecting an announcement on the 17th of April to give an outline from Welsh Government on if there's any changes. We don't know what the announcement will be, whether there's going to be additional funding, whether there's going to be changes to decision making or context that we've no idea. We just know there's going to be an announcement on the 17th of April. So at the moment, this is what we know, but that may change.
Okay, thank you. You've answered my other question as well. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Jamie Scriven then, please.
Yes, just in terms on point 7.1, obviously we're talking about the National Eliminate Board. Who are the representatives on that board? Do we know?
My understanding is so Welsh Government, there's local authorities, the private providers. I'm not part of the board. Yeah, there's lots of different agencies. I think Children's Commission has been involved. Lots of third parties, not-for-profit agencies, but I don't know the exact membership.
So there's not a local authority representative, as far as we're aware.
There is, which I believe is the Director of Social Services in Newport.
Right, okay. My second question, and we might not have the answer to this, but perhaps it's things that we can chase up. But do we know how Welsh Government assess the impact on local authorities by moving forward with this agenda? So obviously there's significant impacts for us and some concerns I'll bring up later in comments.
Yeah, so Welsh Government do meet, as I said, within the report, meet with me and we raise our concerns, whether we're going to meet the targets and the concerns, I suppose, for ourselves about whether we can meet these targets, which I think is why there may be the announcement on the 17th of April, but I can't preempt Welsh Government. There's also obviously part of these groups and this workforce and this board. There's lots of different work streams that feed back in. There's a group that's chaired by one of the heads of children's services up in North Wales that's feeding back concerns about the operation about regulations. So there's numerous pathways feeding back into the Welsh Government. They've come to the All Wales Heads of Children's Services meetings, and we've raised, there's worries have been raised in relation not to the ethos or the values or but the timeframes and how we're going to do that. So they're very aware.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Declan Salmon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just following on from Councillor Louise Minor-Vokes. Joanne, when Welsh Government make that announcement in April, can you keep scrutiny committee and maybe for all elected members up to date, please? Because as Councillor Jamie Scriven mentioned, there could be significant impacts for the local authority. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Any further questions? No. So comments then, please. Councillor Minor-Vokes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think anyone would disagree with elimination of profit. However, there is no doubt it is going to cause high level of uncertainty, and considering that the legislation needs to be drafted and for those final models to be agreed, and the financial implications are still not currently known. There is the concern that this may leave Merthyr Tydfil with less placement availability. And obviously, you know, the issues and risks that you've highlighted throughout section 6 of the report are extremely concerning, especially looking at it through a Merthyr lens. As stated in 6.2, much of the consideration for this to be successful appears to be reliant on a reduction in children looked after numbers, an increase in in-house foster carers and special guardianship orders. Within Merthyr Tydfil and many other local authorities, these expectations are not being met, and therefore these impact on the ability to implement this policy. So going back to what Councillor Salmon said, so this is already included in the forward work programme for social services scrutiny, and it's going to be added to the cycle, and hopefully down the line, once the legislation has been drafted, more information is known, obviously we can be updated with the next stages, but it's something that social services scrutiny will be keeping a close eye on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jamie Scriven, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and keep it short. But obviously, there are concerns. I agree with Councillor Vokes in terms of we all want to see the non-for-profit elimination of non-for-profit, but there are concerns. And I guess it's not within our gift as well to be able to challenge any of this unless there are concerns perhaps that a corporate joint overview scrutiny committee could take to Welsh Government in terms of how authorities are supported in terms of how this will go forward. But given the elimination of profit and the impact it'll have, it does deeply concern me when you have to read paragraphs like 6.6 that refer to the need to utilise operating without registration OWRs. And there are large concerns around not meeting legal obligations with OWRs. It does bring into question the quality of care that we give to young people. It can infringe upon children's rights to health, education, the adequate standard of living. It can potentially affect those young people's well-being. There's also the financial concerns for us as a council, legal penalties, which will reflect on us and our trust and reputation. It's very concerning, not just from a budget perspective and what we could face, it's that impact on the young people themselves. And this could potentially impact rights of children because there's no quality assurance we can give in terms of those OWRs, how that service is designed and implemented without young people's voices in mind, because we just can't assure those things. And the same will go for safeguarding mechanisms because of the lack of quality that we've got in assurance. Just to summarise then, the use of OWRs would leave us as an authority letting our young people down and not giving them compliant services that meet national regulations and standards and meet their rights. So I'm really glad that Louisa said that scrutiny is going to be keeping an eye on this, and I hope that we won't end up in a situation we have to go down that route and utilise OWRs. And any way that we can get around that, we ensure quality for our young people going through these services, I'd really appreciate. But I do understand we're kind of stuck in this as it goes through. And I guess at any point where we've got concerns, we really need to bring that up as quick as possible, and even to Welsh Government if need be.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? No, so we'll have a vote then, please.
Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Jones, are you for, against or abstaining?
For, please.
Thank you. Councillor Gareth Richards, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Items 10 and 11 are information reports. Item 12, to deal with any other urgent business. Councillor Brent Carter, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, again, thank you for allowing me to speak and address everyone here. At the council meeting of the 6th of March, during some difficult and heated exchanges, I made some comments which might have given the appearance that I was being disrespectful to the residents of Gourness. That was not my intention at all, and I have the greatest respect for all the communities of Merthyr Tydfil. I apologise wholeheartedly for any offence caused by those comments. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carter. Item 13, to receive communications from their worship the Mayor. There are none. That was the last item on the agenda, so that concludes the meeting. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you and good night.
Thanks.